Been a minute since I have really messed with vanilla EU4, so I figured why not just go back to vanilla, just a plain regular vanilla game. Psych! Every city in the world will now give a half an unrest, every single province. So you can see here, Poland has 8.7 unrest, 22 because Lithuania is a big boy. Ottomans 17, but like little guys like this, they got negative stability. They're feeling good, you know what I'm saying? Now, obviously this is an anti-blobbing thing, but I more just kind of want to see how the AI interacts with it and how they manage to play, especially in the late game. What do you guys think is going to happen? Is it just going to be like a bunch of smaller nations, or do you think the bigger nations are just going to deal with it and maybe have less manpower, less money? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you find yourself enjoying the video, please do leave a like on it. It really does help a lot, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For all my time of EU4, I can't really think of any way that I could find out what's going to happen unless I turn it on up to speed 5 and unpause. You can see these guys are they're going to have rebels, noble rebels specifically, which is going to tank their you know, their autonomy and stuff. So a lot of these guys, especially the big guys, they're going to have a lot of problems early on. Rebels over here, but that's actually just from the Spanish Civil War. A year in the game and they're already having their civil war. So there you go. French and the English doing French and English things. Lithuania is definitely feeling the heat, and their rebel stacks are pretty dang big because, you know, they're coming from like basically every province. The way that it calculates rebel size is based on like the development of the provinces that they are drawing from. So yeah, Lithuania is going to be feeling pretty rough. Safe to say we're going to see the Ming collapse very quickly in this time. I feel like that just goes without being said. But yeah, basically anybody who's got like 10 plus provinces is having rebels within the first couple years of the game. And it's probably going to be pretty tough for them. Guys like the Timurids are already having their subjects declaring independence. So things are going to be very, very messy early on, I reckon. Lots and lots of rebels. We've got noble rebels in Hungary. We've got noble rebels in Bohemia. We've got Lithuania breaking to noble rebels, and it's definitely going to hurt them. Take a look at their autonomy. They've got 20 to 30% autonomy in essentially every province in their nation, which is going to hurt their economy, their manpower growth, basically everything. It's going to make them a lot weaker. Now, once they have those rebels, they won't really have to worry about them for a while because they have the recent uprising modifier, but as soon as that goes away, the cycle will continue. Doesn't look like the Danes are going to be able to help the Swedes a whole lot. They're going to get devastated by a bunch of rebels as well. We've even got some Socinian heretics over here in Livonia. Oh yeah, we've got big wars going on. We've got Burgundy at war with Aragon and Naples, and just a lot of war going on. But meanwhile, the rebels continue ravaging Iberia. Ottomans have some Shia zealots, which will actually convert the provinces over here, which is pretty cool. We're going to see some religious rebels, which I feel like in vanilla, you don't see a whole lot of religious rebels, especially not converting provinces. Ming's got their first breakaway, not even 10 years into the game, though it does seem like they handled most of the rebels. But yeah, Mandate not feeling so good. I kind of like this from the proper 2K mod. Not as flashy, but definitely shows a lot more information. The English have been exiled from the mainland, and the Castilian Civil War is over. Meanwhile, the Moroccan Civil War is underway, and the plague of noble rebels and tribal rebels continues to just run rampant. Though I'm actually pretty proud of the Ming. They did pass a reform, but they're gaining mandate again. They only had one breakaway state, which for the AI, I will say is an absolute win. Noble rebels in Norway, peasants in Denmark. It's messy. Not sure what happened with Burgundy. They inherited their guys. They must have fallen under a PU, but they have Marie, and they are being unified by the French as well as a liberation war from the Austrians. So yeah, these guys are definitely in trouble. Meanwhile, Lithuania is having their once per decade rebel bomb, so they handled them better this time. So there you go. As is the Ming, as mentioned, every couple of decades, once the modifier wears off, the rebels will come back in full force. To be perfectly honest, I'm actually surprised at how well the AI is handling these rebels. I'm sure there is a lot of autonomy issues that we can't really see, but like Lithuania is handling their autonomy fine. Poland, Hungary, all these guys are doing surprisingly well. Though I gotta say, I love the fact that we're 20 years in and the Ottomans still haven't taken Constantinople, probably because they were busy fighting rebels. And this time around, looks like Ming mostly handled their rebels, only losing Min, which again is a victory. I will say this, if the Ming doesn't completely collapse to a rebel bomb, they're doing good. Better than people like Gujarat. They got 2,000 troops and 2,000 rebels. Be really funny if some Hindu zealots were able to convert them. I would definitely appreciate that at least. Though sadly, the Ottomans pushed the Shias out. I was hoping to see some more rebel action with that, but we'll take what we can get. And with the Reformation right around the corner, we're still looking very Catholic over here in Europe. But meanwhile, borders are actually not looking super different from what you would expect in vanilla. Aragon got some land down here. Portugal seemingly wanted a province from Castile, somehow. France PU Burgundy and then inherited them via the event, so they are terrifying, but also at the same time very large and very, lots of unrest. Scotland is actually splitting Ireland with England, and there is a total failure to launch for Muscovy over here, integrating their subjects, and that's about it. Chagatai is united, eating up Oirat. Mongolia is independent, and China is completely dismantled. Ming doesn't even exist. Though the majority of stuff that I'm seeing is just like blobby or random vanilla stuff. Though I'm not really sure what's going on with the Ottomans. They just are chilling. They have not taken Constantinople, and it's like 1499 right now, so that's pretty weird. And with it being 1499, yes, we've got some colonizations going on with Portugal over here in Brazil, and that's it. So in terms of great powers, we're looking at France, the MAMs, actually the number 2, but probably not for long if I had to guess. The Ottomans will eventually come out of the number 3 spot. I don't know why the AI is just derping and not expanding. We then have Poland, Aragon, Castile, Hungary, who is independent in the 7th spot, and then Lithuania in the 8th. So basically everybody outside of the MAMs are a European superpower, and that doesn't bode well for the rest of the world, I don't think. And sure enough, I unpaused, and within like 2 years of unpausing, we've got the Center of Reformation in Freiburg, over here in Nassau, and up here in Lubeck. So we've got 3 Protestant centers. Looks like we've got a lot of Catholics converting over to Protestants. So I think we're going to see things fill in up in the north, specifically, very fast. We're definitely seeing a lot of war over here. Castile beating up on Aragon with Portugal on their side. We've got France seemingly pushing a little bit more into Germany, and then whatever all this is, which I assume is it's the League War. Denmark integrated Norway, and then is full occupying Sweden, well, most of it. Finland occupied by Novgorod, who's also occupying a large portion of Muscovy, who has not changed at all, and it's like 1560 right now. So yeah, lots of full occupations, the Ottomans included. Really don't know what's going on with them. Somebody just turned off the Ottomans AI. Hordes are still doing their horde thing. Chagatai looking really big, but how about that Manchu? Big fan of a united Manchu. Always happy to see it. Kind of like Korea, looking really good across from Japan, who's not looking so good. Very split up still. Just like China, though I think a lot of the Chinese tanks are starting to consolidate at least a little bit. Though it's pretty weird seeing a small shun. I feel like they're usually the big guys. Still a big mess over here in India, as well as over into the Iran region. Sub-Saharan Africa looking pretty messy, as is the Congo, with Congo seemingly losing the war to Yaka here. Though we do have some English down here in the Cape, occupied by rebels right next to some Spanish, with lots of Portuguese down in South America, although there are a couple of French over here. Portuguese as well in the Caribbean, as well as Mexico, and then the 13 colonies mostly going to the English, with some Danes over here in Newfoundland and other portions of northern Canada, with Castile seemingly taking an interest in Canada over here. Castile's also all the way over here colonizing some Spice Islands. So yeah, we'll see something. We've also got the Mamluks colonizing, so we'll probably see them making their way down under. And what a league war this is. My goodness, over 1 million dead, with the Protestants losing seemingly. There's quite a big power discrepancy, but those losses inflicted onto the Catholics are pretty crazy, with almost half of them being to attrition, because France is apparently really dumb. Almost 60,000 men lost just to attrition. But yeah, definitely looking like the Catholics are going to win, though it is pretty strange to see the Reformed taking a foothold over here in England. Generally, you see Anglicanism pop out of that, but it didn't happen this time. So lots of Protestants up here. Quite a few Protestants over here, though most of it is occupied by Catholics, which is what's given a lot of those hash lines. So very messy, but yeah, I think we're going to see the Catholics come out on top in this one. But I know I said it before, but I got to say it again. I'm surprised at how surprisingly similar most of this looks to vanilla, aside from like the Ottomans not blowing out. And I assume a lot of it has to do with the fact that the AI is just like doing fine. Once they fight their rebels, they're good to go. Maybe they have less manpower. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff is pretty cool. Like seeing Oirat collapse. I like to see that. Though Chagatai not collapsing, pretty weird. MAMs have grown quite a bit. Haven't collapsed, though most of their cores are their own. So I think nations that have a lot of breakaway states probably are not doing so much, like Muscovy, because they've got a lot of separatist rebels that they have to fight off. The MAMs don't really have a whole lot, just like noble rebels every couple of decades. So that's probably what's going on, or at least I imagine that's a big portion of it. And so yeah, we've got France with almost 1,100 development, followed by the MAMs, still the number 2 great power, if you can believe that, with the Ottomans gaining development. But I think it's mostly just developing their own lands, because they're not spending it on conquest, that's for sure. Portugal in the 4th because of their colonization, though Venice rising up the great powers ranked into the 5th. Castile, followed by Poland, and then England. And here we have it. We've got a little bit more time has passed. We're into the age of revolutions. France is not really doing much, but you're going to see they have a lot of development tied up in the provinces that they do have. Scotland has got some good name placement, as does Sweden and Denmark. So love to see that. Independent Finland and Muscovy is like 1444 borders, or like 1460 borders after they integrated their subjects in, the 1700s. Ottomans never really did a whole lot yet. And apparently Thrace is Venetian and Albania is looking really good. I am always a fan of this. So Italy is definitely split up. We've got Geneva, Genoa, and Venice conquering all of this. And then Lubeck is just Pomerania, I guess. The hordes and the steppes are all like pretty similar to what they were last we looked. Maybe a little bit of shift here and there. Though Liang is definitely, they did not have all this land before, and Manchu has eaten a lot of Mongolia, so that's pretty cool. We're also seeing the Japanese islands still divided, but Yamana and Oda are the big boys, with Ashikaga still the shogun. We do have it. If you know, you know, but the other part of this colonial region is going to the Castilians. But I do love seeing this, just Egyptian Papuan Peninsula, English Papuan Peninsula. We've got the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish. Everybody's hanging out over here. We've got lots of colonization. This is an Arabian Minor as well. Apparently they're colonizing too. And it does look like Egypt is all over the place, with Castile, France, and England in South Africa, with basically all of South America going to the Portuguese, with the French in Colombia, though you can't count out Scottish Columbia or Dutch Columbia. They're all both there, with Dutch Columbia's development mostly over here in Panama, right next to French Columbia in like whatever this is, Guatemala. Or is this Nicaragua? I think this is Nicaragua. The left coast is all Pacifico Norte and California for the Castilians, with the east over here going mostly to the 13 colonies for the English, though Vinland is doing pretty good for now. The rest of the northern portions going to Castile, with Portugal in the central portions, as well as over here in Mexico, with the Dutch taking quite a big chunk out of the Mexican natives. Always got to shout out an independent Iceland. And yeah, King of Kings Mamluks has struck it. We do have an Egypt. No Mamluks, but Egypt, which pretty cool. Don't think I've ever seen the AI do that, so I'm a fan. Though I did hear that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, and somebody in my cabinet actually confirmed it. So I think we're gonna have to invade them. With a little over 100 years left, Portugal is out in the #1 spot because of all that colonization. Not really a huge surprise, though France's development is going up a lot, considering the fact that they are not doing a whole lot of colonization. Castile you would expect to be in the top 3, with England in the 4th, mostly because of their east coast. Their subject over there in the 13 colonies has almost as much development as they do, and then a huge drop off to Denmark. Egypt, once they embrace institution, will actually pass Denmark. Hungary and Venice. So we actually have like kind of the same guys in the great powers that have been there more or less on and off for the last 300 years. So yeah, it's definitely anti-blobbing, but we're seeing some cool stuff. And in 1821, we've got revolutionary Turkey, and borders look surprisingly very not 1821. Austria has exact 1444 borders, except for a couple of provinces up here in Thuringia, Thuringia. Poland hasn't grown much outside of the Teutons, and Lithuania, I don't think, has a single new province. We've got revolutionary Lubeck, revolutionary Castile, Sus, and it's just super divided, and I actually really appreciate it. I feel like it's kind of aesthetic how divided everything is, except for Japan. They're united. The New World is quite a bit of the same, with Portugal in the south with some French, and then Portuguese stuff. Looks like the Dutch were eventually kicked out for the most part, and Maya and Quiche it struck back and took a bunch of French and Dutch stuff down here. But North America looks basically the same as it did last time we looked, if I remember correctly. Though the religious diversity is pretty cool. Well, outside of this, we've got Reformed, Protestant, Maya, even some Nahuatl still hanging out in 1821. A little bit of Reformed over here, and then Catholic in the south. Over in Europe, it's mostly Catholic with some Protestants here. Reformed nation, primarily in Hungary, as well as over in the British Isles. I actually don't think Muscovy did a single thing other than integrate their subjects. They just stood still and didn't move for 400 years. But the Great Horde did pretty good, eating Kazakh and quite a bit of land from Crimea over here. Though the fact that the Turks never took Constantinople just blows my mind. Also, revolutionary Cyprus and Epirus. I like that a lot. Oh, they even got Caraman. There's so many revolutionary nations. As far as great powers go, Portugal is actually revolutionary as well. #1 great power with 3,000, which is like a very low number compared to vanilla. Oftentimes in vanilla, you'll see 8, 9, over 10 in some videos. 2,500 for France. Castile, revolutionary with over 2,100. Magdeburg in Germany with 1,500. England got beaten by Magdeburg. That is hilarious. Japan with almost 1,500. Egypt with 1,400. And revolutionary Turkey making it to the great powers despite not conquesting basically any land at all. Max manpower is France, Magdeburg, Portugal, Poland actually, with almost 250,000 max manpower right there with Castile. Really nice. In Portugal, France, Egypt, top 3 for score, with France having the most income in the world right there with England and revolutionary Castile in the 3rd. And I can't quite find one to check for number of cities, but at a quick glance, we're seeing 42 unrest for France, 23 for England, 27 for Castile, only 22 for Portugal. Chagatai laying low with only 18, a whopping 43 down in Egypt, with Turkey only at 13. Muscovy doing it smart with only 6 compared to Novgorod's 7.5. So maybe sitting still wasn't so hard. And yeah, lots of development. Look at Moldavia. I love that. Rise on. Like the nations that didn't get conquered developed so much. 50, 43, 43, 44. Like there's so much development. 69 in Krakow. That is insanity. It's the coal. Coal is the reason, but that is crazy. There's so many 60 dev provinces over here. Oh my goodness. There's even a province up in Scotland with 61. Yeah, easy to be a great power when you got that much development in your provinces. But that one was a ton of fun. I really hope that you enjoyed as much as I did. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe for more if you haven't already, because you're missing out on a lot of content if you're not already subscribed. If you have something that you'd like to see in the next video, make sure you leave it in the comments down below. And I appreciate you making it all the way to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.